Hello. Good morning, everybody. This is the 5-minute warning, so please start to find a seat, please. Quiet ahead of time? What's going on here? This is unprecedented. So I'm going to go ahead and do the gong. I hit it on the thing there instead of... You
guys sound great, by the way.
1 minute. Yeah. Still time to take your seat. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dan Overman. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the volunteer host for today. I'm glad we can gather today in the spirit of shared values and community. Whether you're a longtime member or a first-time visitor, here in person or joining via our live stream, we are so pleased that you're here. So that our time together is not interrupted, please take a moment to silence your devices or put them on Do Not Disturb mode. I appreciate each of you and your consideration and respect for one another. We're going to introduce our musicians today. Hannah Fry on violin, Michaela Talasek on viola, and Tara Santiago Anello on cello. All three musicians are very active in the St. Louis area and nationally, and we are thrilled to have them today. Hannah is a freelance musician and educator in St. Louis. She's the first violinist of the Perseid Quartet and a member of the Third Millennium World's Fair and plays regularly with the Metropolitan Orchestra of St. Louis. She has performed with many other area groups, including the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, the St. Louis Chamber Soloist, and she was concertmaster of Winter Opera St. Louis for over a decade. She teaches violin and chamber music at Washington University, teaches beginning violin at Kirkwood High School District, and maintains a large private studio at her home. Michaela performs on both viola and violin and has orchestral and freelance musician here in St. Louis. In 2011, she has performed for orchestras in Texas, Nevada, California, Michigan, and Illinois. She is a member of the Reno Philharmonic, a Reno Chamber of Commerce, and the Missouri Symphony Orchestra, regularly performing with the St. Louis Symphony Metropolitan Orchestra of St. Louis and the St. Louis Chamber Soloists. Michaela maintains a private home studio and also teaches at these St. Louis organizations, Webster University Community Music School, Kirkwood School District, Gateway Music Outreach, M. Strong Studio, and Forsyth School. Tara is a teacher and freelancer in St. Louis. She holds a Bachelor and Master's of Music degrees from New England Conservatory. Originally from Wisconsin, she has performed as guest soloist with the Milwaukee, Fox Valley, and Sheboygan Symphonies. Prior to moving to St. Louis, she was a member of the Florida Grand Opera. She now teaches Suzuki cello at Webster University's Community Music School and performs and records regularly with singer Aaron Bodie, who, as you know, has performed here. Their beginning selection today is the first piece in Mozart's trio in E-flat, Allegro. Please join me in providing a very warm welcome to Hannah, Michaela, and Tara. Well done. Thank you so much. Wow. Each week, we read the Ethical Education for Youth core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. Today, our core value reader is Axel Jones.
Every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. We can learn from everyone. We are a part of this earth. We cherish it and all the life upon it. We can learn from the world around us by using our senses, mind, and feelings. We are a member of the world community. We are members of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. We can learn from the past to build for the future. We are free to question. We are free to choose what we believe. We accept responsibility for our choices and actions. We strive to live our values.
Well done, Axel. Thank you. I feel lost if I don't shuffle the papers. It's now time for opening words, when we have the opportunity to learn more about our fellow community members, their interests and passions. This is a time to deepen our connection with one another. Please join me in welcoming Robert Holtrud.
Good morning. Before I get into what I want to talk about, I wanted to share that my kidney cancer surgery earlier this month was a complete success. The excellent team at WashU took great care of me, and there will be no need for radiation or chemo. So, I'm a tough act to follow. So, what do you do? Don't you love that question? What do you do? Or like the neighbors like to ask my wife, but never me, do you work outside of the home? I used to tell people that I'm a horror writer, which is true, even though I've spent more in that endeavor than I ever made. Now, I am one of 4 owners of a screen print and embroidery shop named Fubadap Apparel. I bought into the family business a year and a half ago, and our owners group spans from war baby to millennial, from conservative to progressive, from Catholic to atheist. And the business ethics class I took at Webster University taught me a lot about how to stay out of prison. But it didn't teach me how to manage the pitfalls of diverse values of an ownership group. But FUBADAP is a special place. Our team is made up of white and black workers, cis, gay, and trans workers. We even have a juggalo. But the diversity of the group means that sometimes we have to play ethical gymnastics with our own values, like printing brightly colored shirts for a Catholic school taking kids to the March on Life. While my whole being doesn't agree with them going, the shirts are so kids don't get lost. And I would just like even more for kids to get lost in that group. One way I'm dealing with this and doing jobs that I don't agree with is by using my share of the profits to supply groups I do agree with, like Ethical Society. So downstairs after platform, I have several boxes of shirts that we printed. Swing by, grab one for yourself and a friend for free. And I have a wide array of colors, styles, and sizes. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Now it's time for our second musical selection. Let's welcome back Hannah, Michaela, and Tara to the stage to perform the second piece in Mozart's Trio E-flat, Minuet, and Trio. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Before our main address, we'd like to take a moment to clear our minds, relax our bodies, and take some mindful, deep breaths. Join me for 1 minute of mindful breathing. All right. By the way, you passed the test. I asked somebody up in the front rows to drop a pin when this started, and I could hear it. So there you go. Today's platform, by the way, for those of you who weren't able to make the forum, Louise also gave a forum today to a standing room crowd down there. So I'm really looking forward to this. No pressure, Louise. No pressure. So our platform today features our very own creative director and AEU certified ethical cultural leader, Louise Jett. Louise is an ethical humanist, media specialist, graphic designer, writer, and artist. In short, she's an educator, community organizer, and storyteller who strives to approach the challenges with optimism and enthusiasm. And if you've heard her speak, you know those two things are very, very true. We are truly fortunate to have such a fantastic human as a part of our community. Today, Louise will explore the question of how can you be an agent of change? Please join me with a warm welcome for Louise Jett.
Good morning, everyone. So before I get into good trouble, I want to reflect on our interconnectedness. The current discord in our country is marked by deepening political polarization, eroding trust in institutions, and escalating social fragmentation. And this division extends beyond traditional partisan lines, affecting communities, families, and individual relationships. So if you're like me, you're feeling a lot of division right now. But right here, in this room, in this auditorium, we have unity. We are gathered to make meaning and connections. And doesn't it feel good? Unity is important to humanists because humanism is rooted in the belief that we are all interdependent, that our shared humanity matters more than our differences, and that ethical progress depends on working together. Unity is how we human better. It's how we turn values into action, strangers into allies, and ideals into lived realities. So I want to just take a moment to reflect on the profound unity that underlies our shared human experience. Each individual in this room, on this planet, embodies a unique constellation of thoughts, emotions, and aspirations. But it is through our interconnectedness that we find the essence of our humanity. Ethical culture founder Felix Adler said, "The unique personality, which is the real life in me, I cannot gain unless I search for the real life, the spiritual quality in others." In recognizing the inherent worth of every person, we affirm the ethical principle that binds us to act so as to elicit the best in others and thereby in ourselves. Another one of Adler's hits. This mutual cultivation of goodness fosters a community where empathy, respect, and understanding prevail. And may we continue to uphold these values, nurturing the bonds that connect us and striving together toward a more compassionate and just society for all people. Now on to the good trouble. But first, I must credit one of my favorite mentors, humanist chaplain and former Ethical Society of St. Louis leader James Croft. This talk was inspired by a course he offered here as a part of an activist academy. And if you're new around here, the Ethical Society of St. Louis is a non-theistic congregation dedicated to honoring the inherent dignity and worth of all human beings. We put deed before creed. If you'd like to learn more about the Ethical Society or the ethical culture movement in general, please let me know. I love to talk humanism, obviously, and I am a certified ethical culture leader, which is an antiquated way of saying humanist clergy. So as someone dedicated to the care and well-being of others, activism is near and dear to my heart. In the words of John Lewis, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble, necessary trouble. I'm constantly trying to be brave in defense of my values and make good trouble within my own capacity. And we all need to consider our bandwidth for involvement and the risks that we're willing to take to be agents of change. Today, I really want to talk about what it means to make good trouble, how it's been done before, and how you can do it in your own way. The truth is, many of us have already made some good trouble. So before I get into strategy and inspiration, I want to honor that. I want you to just take a moment and remember the first time that you didn't stay silent. The first time you stepped up, that spark. What's one moment, big or small, when you first stood up for something you believed in? Maybe you challenged a rule, called someone out, went to a protest, or even just asked a hard question. What is the first good trouble you made that you remember? And I want you to just kind of hold that in your heart for now. I hope I've got you all thinking and realizing that you've already been practicing good trouble, and it isn't new. It's something most of us have already lived. So let's zoom out for a moment to one of the most iconic acts of good trouble in history. Mahatma Gandhi, in 1930, led what became known as the Salt March. And at that time, India was under British rule, and the British had made it illegal for them to collect or sell their own salt, forcing everyone to buy it taxed from the colonial government. Gandhi knew that something so small, so ordinary, could become a symbol. He walked 240 miles to the Arabian Sea. He picked up a handful of salt, and he broke the law. He started with 78 of his followers, and thousands joined him along the way. That small act of resistance sparked a nationwide movement for independence. That's good trouble. Peaceful, powerful, strategic, and deeply human. And here's what I think we can learn from it. First, ordinary acts can be revolutionary. Gandhi chose salt, a basic necessity, to protest the British colonial salt tax. By doing something as simple as collecting salt from the sea, he turned a daily need into a symbol of resistance. Even small, symbolic actions can carry deep meaning and spark massive change. We'll also learn from this, nonviolence is a powerful tool. Gandhi believed in satyagraha, or truth force, the idea that nonviolence is not passive, but an active form of resistance. The marchers did not fight back when beaten or arrested. They showed moral strength in the face of injustice. Which leads me to the fact that activism takes endurance. The Salt March was a 240-mile journey. It took over 24 days. It wasn't easy, but it captured the world's attention. Activism often requires patience, persistence, and sacrifice. We can also see from this example that media and public opinions matter. Journalists followed the march, and international media covered it widely. This helped amplify the message and gain support. So strategic use of media can make local actions resonate globally. Also, mass participation creates momentum. Gandhi wasn't alone. As I said, thousands joined him along the way. The SALT March sparked a broader civil disobedience movement. Activism is most effective when it becomes a collective effort. And moral framing moves people forward. By focusing on SALT, something all Indians needed, Gandhi connected the cause to universal values like fairness and dignity. Framing issues in relatable, moral terms can actually win hearts and minds. And I argue that's something we need to do. When Gandhi walked that 240 miles to the sea in 1930 and lifted up the handful of salt, he wasn't just defying a colonial law, he was making good trouble. And the British salt tax was unfair, especially to the poor. And Gandhi knew that peaceful disobedience could spark a movement. His act was simple but bold, illegal but just. It showed the world that standing up to injustice doesn't always require violence, just moral courage, persistence, and the willingness to disrupt the status quo for the greater good. Decades later, civil rights leader John Lewis would carry the same spirit into the American South, urging people to get into good trouble, necessary trouble. Though continents and causes were different, the message was the same. When the law is unjust, conscience must lead. Good trouble is about standing up to injustice. It's the idea that sometimes you have to break the rules or challenge authority in order to do what's right. That could mean protesting unjust laws, speaking out against discrimination, or refusing to stay silent in the face of oppression. John Lewis first got into good trouble as a teenager, joining lunch counter sit-ins and freedom rides. He was beaten and jailed for peaceful protests, including the Selma March on Bloody Sunday in 1965. But he never gave up on nonviolent resistance. And like Gandhi, he put moral courage over comfort. Good trouble isn't reckless or destructive. It's about conscious, strategic, and ethical activism that challenges unfair systems, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. The phrase has inspired generations of activists around the world, from US to India, South Africa, and beyond. It reminds us that social progress often begins with people who are willing to disrupt the status quo. And I'm here right now to encourage you to make some good trouble. It's time. In today's political climate, making good trouble means using your voice, your platform, and your power to push back against injustice, even when it's uncomfortable. First, vote and help others vote. Voters, yes, vote. I still believe in our democracy. And voter suppression is real. So register, vote in every election, and help others navigate the barriers. Be a poll worker if you can. Drive someone to the polls. Every vote counts, and every vote is a stand. Next, speak out against injustice. Whether it's racism, sexism, homophobia, religious discrimination, or attacks on democracy, don't stay silent. Use your social media, write op-eds, attend town halls, call your representatives. Silence enables oppression. Educate and disrupt misinformation. Challenge falsehoods, conspiracy theories, and coded language that harms marginalized groups. Share accurate resources, correct myths, and encourage critical thinking. Organize in your community. Join or support grassroots movements, community organizations, or advocacy groups. Host events, teach workshops, start a local campaign. Change starts close to home. Engage in peaceful protest and civil disobedience. March, sit in, rally, walk out. As Gandhi and John Lewis showed, peaceful disruption of unjust systems can ignite change. And in our ability, we have to hold our leaders accountable, track how elected officials vote, and publicly call out harmful policies. Demand transparency, justice, and action from school boards to Congress. And protect all the rights that are under attack. Defend reproductive rights, voting access, LGBTQ+ protections, freedom of speech, and religion or lack thereof. Stand up for the separation of church and state and the rights of others, even when your rights aren't directly threatened. Good trouble needs trust. And just being here together today, we're on that path. And if we're going to make good trouble together, we have to be able to trust each other. Not just to show up, but to hold space for each other's growth. Good trouble doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in relationships. And relationships require trust. That means listening before reacting, apologizing when we get it wrong, being honest about our capacity, respecting lived experience, including marginalized communities early on when we want to advocate for them or help them in any way. Nothing about us without us. And it means showing up consistently, not just when it's convenient. Trust isn't just a good, feel-good idea, it's a strategy. Movements that last are built on relationships where people feel safe enough to speak truth, make mistakes, and keep learning together. Think of what ways help you trust someone. Now, what makes you trust someone within a movement or a grassroots organization? What breaks that trust? In the personal or the institutional? So good trouble also means building trust and relationships even with people who may disagree with us. And this is especially important within ethical culture because we value free thought and questioning. We want to be informed by the best in human thinking, science, and reason, while also upholding the inherent dignity and worth of all people. These relationships are so critical, and not every effort needs a megaphone. Sometimes good trouble looks like a conversation. Sometimes it's a hard, honest word with someone you hope will stay in the fight. That's the art of calling people in. Having private and respectful dialogue when you want to preserve the relationship and teach. Other times, we need to call people out. Public criticism is often valid, especially when harm needs to be confronted quickly. Grassroots organizations and movements like ours need both courage and care to grow and to build trust. We call people out when we need to let someone know that their words or actions are unacceptable and they're not going to be tolerated. When we need to interrupt in order to prevent further harm. We'll likely feel hard and uncomfortable when we call people out, but it's so necessary. And it also allows us to hit the pause button and break the momentum of the bad idea or the bigoted approach. We call people in when there's an opportunity to explore deeper, make meaning together, and find a mutual sense of understanding across our differences. When we are seeking to understand or learn more. When we want to help imagine different perspectives, possibilities, or outcomes. Calling in provides for multiple perspectives and encourages paradigm shifts. It's focused on reflection and not reaction. Sometimes when we call people out, we're standing up for ourselves. Sometimes we're standing up for others. And it is a powerful thing for the target of oppression to hear these call-outs from the mouths of allies. Be firm, be kind with a spine. How can we call out the behavior while calling in the person? How can we be accepting of all people but not all behaviors? I think most often the best way to call someone out is to be very direct. For example, wow, nope, I need you to stop right there. Or, that's not our culture here. Those aren't our values. They're causing harm. You need to stop it. Or, you may not realize this, but you're talking about my story or my identity, right? Those are ways to call people out. It's public, it's in the moment. You're stopping the harm. Calling in may come from a place of genuine curiosity, and you may be looking for a better understanding or hoping to form some great counterpoints to their ridiculousness. Both are valid. What matters is you don't need to stop the harm when you're calling someone in, and you want to honor the relationship. So calling in is appropriate. And you can come from a place of curiosity. I'm curious, what was your intention when you said that? what would have to change in order for you to blank? What is making you so fearful, nervous, and uncomfortable and worried right now? Or why is this the best way to proceed? What other approaches have you considered? So you can see this curiosity, this gentleness, this honoring of the relationship. Calling someone out or even in could be considered good trouble. But good trouble isn't one thing. It's a way of life. It's an ethical action. It can be exhilarating and exhausting. You have to pace yourself. Celebrate your wins, support each other, rest, reflect, come back stronger. Again, courage and care. Have you ever heard of the parable of the choir? Education professional Celeste Bembry explained that a choir can sing a note impossibly long because singers can individually drop out to breathe as necessary, and the note goes on. She said communities working towards social justice must function like the choir. You take turns holding the note while others rest. Courage and care. Gandhi didn't win in a day. John Lewis fought for decades, but they both kept showing up with hope. You don't need a title or a megaphone or a perfect plan to make good trouble. You just need the courage to start and the heart to keep going. Remember that handful of salt, that lunch counter seat, that first good trouble that I had you hold in your mind a minute ago? They all matter. They're reminders that activism doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with participation. It begins with a moment of courage, a refusal to stay silent, and the choice to act. And this community is already a part of that legacy. So take a breath, pass on the note when you need to, and when it's your turn, sing it strong. Keep showing up with courage and care. Build trust. Call people in. Speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. You don't need a title or a megaphone. You just need heart. We just need each other. Let's make some good trouble together. And thank you for your activism.
Well said, Louise. Let's give her another round of applause. Thank you. The Welcome team will now take up a collection to support the Society. We rely on the generosity of members and friends, so please consider donating. If you don't have cash with you today, you can donate at ethicalstl.org/donate or use the QR code on the screen. We appreciate anything you may be able to offer. We do have some announcements today. Coming up this week on the Tuesday evening, a virtual town hall meeting with Greg Bonin of the AEU. Please join in virtual conversation with our AEU representative Scott Wright and American Ethical Union Senior Director Greg Bonin on Tuesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. The virtual town hall meeting will be your opportunity as a member of the Ethical Society community to get the direct AEU perspective on any questions or concerns you have regarding the current direction. So I encourage you to participate. Greg Bonin has really offered himself and is anxious to talk and get feedback from our community. Humanist Hangouts, first Sunday lunch. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the Ethical Society of St. Louis hosted First Sunday Lunch. Our next First Sunday Lunch is hosted by Humanist Hangouts on May 4th, also known as Star Wars Day. Food, as usual, will be served after platform, but this lunch will feature our own Cantina Band playing your favorite music from Star Wars. We will also be celebrating the holiday in style with costume contests for members interested in showing off their Star Wars fandom. All supporters of the Rebel Alliance, the Ethical Society, are welcome to attend. Please reach out to Master Mandy Sullivan or Padawan Sean O'Hara with any questions. May the force of the core values be with you. Join us next Sunday, May 4th, to pack emergency contraception kits. We could use a few volunteers in the 9 to 9:30 a.m. time frame, and then a whole bunch of volunteers to make the kits from 9:45 to 10:45. Standing and seating options will be available. So if you really don't feel you can stand that long, there are some participatory things you can do while seated. Meet in the Hankey Room and bring your positive energy and passion for reproductive justice and putting your ethics into action. Connect with Crystal White if you have any questions. By the way, for those of you who participated in the last one, it was extraordinarily well run, and actually it was early. It was over early at 10:30. So, good food for a good cause. The Ethical Society will be hosting our first Welcome Neighbor Afghan dinner on May 21st, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This dinner is created by refugee chefs who will prepare delicious food and tell us a story of their journey to St. Louis. All profits go to the chefs. You should know a couple of things, special things about this dinner. Guests pay in advance via a link to the Welcome Neighbor website or the QR code above. Not at the Ethical Society. Reservations are due by May 15th, 2025. The Afghan dinner is made up of a stuffed flatbread appetizer, savory rice, dumplings, kebabs or pasta main dish, and a sweet pastry dessert. Vegetarian option available, but no gluten-free option. Consider your $40 dinner tab to be an important resource to refugees whose aid has been cut recently. And this is sponsored by our own Good Deeds team. So thank you, Good Deeds team. Annual membership meeting. Don't forget this. The annual meeting is on Thursday, May 15th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. That's this auditorium. The meeting will also be available via live stream on YouTube. The board and ministry team appreciates the opportunity to update our community on the activities of the past year, as well as offer the chance to vote on important matters. As a reminder, Ethical Society of St. Louis bylaws specify that 10% of active members attending in person or virtually is required to achieve a voting quorum at the membership meeting. We hope members will make it a priority to attend. Paper ballots and copies of the 2025 annual report are available in limited quantities in the Society office. Digital copies of both are available in the weekly email and on the website. All paper absentee ballots must be submitted to Scott Wright's mailbox in the Society office by 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th to be counted. A big thank you from the Navigators. The Navigators would like to extend a warm thank you to the members of the Ethical Society for their support during the first Sunday lunch and bake sale on April 6th. With your overwhelming support, really overwhelming, they actually ran out of baked potatoes, and generosity, they were able to raise over $1,000 that will help them to offset the cost of scouts attending our National Jamboree in New York City this July, as well as fund other amazing activities and programs. And keep your calendar open. In October, they will be back for another luncheon. A message from the Stewardship Task Force. No message this week. Well, almost no message. There are still a few pledges trickling in. The final numbers will be published next week. So on behalf of the Ethical Society of St. Louis and the Stewardship Task Force, thank you for your generous support of the 2025-26 Pledge Campaign. Art exhibit, and this is the final announcement for today. Our art exhibit changed over at the end of this past week, and the current exhibit is by Sun Leo. And there's a reception here at 12:30 today. So if you're interested in the artwork, please join us. See if I missed any. We would love to keep you informed about the future events at the Ethical Society of St. Louis. You may use the QR code to sign up for the weekly newsletter, check the Friends of the Ethical Society Facebook group, or email the relevant staff person or member. This is a very busy place and vibrant, and it relies on volunteers, so I hope you'll get involved and connected to the community in ways that feel meaningful to you. Now, for our final musical selection, let's welcome Hannah, Michaela, and Tara back to the stage for the final piece in Mozart's E-flat trio. Thank you so much. That was just delightful. Thank all of you for being here today, for each other and for yourselves. I hope today's platform helped you feel more connected to one another and motivated you to get involved in the community and causes that you are passionate about. I also welcome you to spend more time in community today. There's coffee in the large room downstairs. If you don't know where that is, just follow the crowd as they make their way downstairs. There's an elevator over here on the west side as well. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful week. Thank you. Well done.